Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Oh, hey, I can hear myself tonight. And we welcome all of you to City Council meeting. We'll just follow the agenda. If everybody that's here, if you'll make sure you get your name on the attendance sheet. But we'll follow the agenda with just one little change. We'll start with an invocation by Councilmember Larrabee, and then we have a scout troop here, or at least part of them. And I've asked one of them, Ricardo Larson, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance right after the invocation.
Our gracious Heavenly Father, we gather as citizens of this community, thankful for this quiet village in which we live. We're grateful for those who have contributed so much to its safety, to the quality of life that we enjoy, particularly our law enforcement and those who put their lives on the line to protect us and record us safely. We ask a blessing to be upon the mayor and Susie as they travel, and they do so in safety and return back to us at the appointed time. Bless us as we review the issues and concerns and business and matters of this city, that we may keep open minds, and that we may discuss them properly and get the opportunity to listen to one another. We're grateful once again for the freedoms that we enjoy, as we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Just a couple of other things. The mayor has asked to be excused tonight. He's out of town, and Councilmember Daly has also asked to be excused. She's not able to make it tonight. So, we can move on to number 2 on the agenda. The approval of the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Second. All in favor? Wally? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
I guess, do I get to close the mayor pro tem?
You get to wear gold.
Okay. And next is our cash disbursements. Any questions or?
This is the ratification of the one we've already seen.
It's a ratification of the one we did, April 13th to 29th. I'll make a motion that we approve the cash disbursements, ratify them for April 13th through the 29th.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. Next, we have our youth city council report. Oh, no, sorry. We have a brief open session first. If there's anyone that would like to discuss anything that's not on the agenda to be covered tonight, now would be your opportunity to one of them. If anyone wants to, you're welcome to come to the podium and state your name and let us know what you want us to know. No rush to the podium, so we'll now move on to the youth city council report.
Good evening. So for our May 2019 report for Easter Council, we have the last month with the Easter extravaganza. It was a success. We were able to raise over $400 to go towards the workshop single camp in December. This month, so yesterday we rolled the Temple to Memorial Day the Memorial Day celebration on the 27th, and we have 2,000 minutes to clear the packet. We are planning on being up at 6:30 a.m. that day to help with the race and begin breakfast, unless there's a different plan than last year.
I'm assuming it's the same plan as last year.
Yeah, someone will be there at 6:30, that's great. Okay.
And then, usually on the Saturday before too, we get together to help with the tables and that underneath the pavilion, or underneath the tents. I think it's been about 2:00, so why don't we plan on that, and if it's different, we'll let you know. But if we could have your help with that, that'd be appreciated.
Yeah, and then high school graduation is on Wednesday, May 29th, that's at Austin.
All right, coming to an end, huh?
And then next month, for June, we are, scheduled to tour the Davis County Jail on Wednesday, the 26th at 6 p.m. And then next month, we will also decorate the float for the summer parade. We are registered for West Bountiful on July 4th in the morning, and Bountiful Handcart on July 19th at noon. Any questions?
Any questions for our youth mayor?
No, congratulations.
Exciting times. I thought the Easter activity was great. There were lots of kids there. It looked like they were having a good time, so. And $400 for the angel tree, that's great. So, thanks for helping take care of that and running everything over there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is council kudos.
All right.
Julie.
I am excited. We have 2 council kudos tonight. The first one was a nomination by Bonnie Craig, and it says, I have a nomination for council kudos I would like to submit. Last week I was sick and thought I would feel well enough to run up to the city offices and pick up the minutes I needed to type. Unfortunately, I just couldn't get out, and so I texted Annette Hansen and asked her if she would mind writing them to me. She was kind enough to write them down to my house on her lunch hour. I was very appreciative of her going the extra mile and going out of her way to help me out. I would love for her to be recognized for her efforts. So, thanks, Annette. When I told Annette she'd been nominated, she said, I haven't been here long enough. And I'm like, that's the great thing about council kudos. You don't have to be here very long for us to celebrate you. So, here is your $25 Amazon card, and come around so we can shake your hand. And we should clap. And then our next nomination is actually for Bonnie Craig, who nominated Annette. So, it came from Jessica, and it says, Bonnie has been the minutes secretary at the city since 2001. She attends planning commission meetings and types minutes for both planning commission and council meetings. Bonnie is one of the kindest, most considerate people you will ever meet. She not only cares about doing the best job she can as minutes secretary, but she genuinely cares about the people she works with at the city. She is always willing to step in and help us out, and always looks for additional ways to assist. We are so lucky to have Bonnie. So, she wasn't able to make it tonight, but we have a $25 gift card to TJ Maxx for her. So, Jessica will make sure that she gets that.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next is, we have our treasurer that's been with us for quite some time, and she has decided that it's time to move on. And in doing so, that means we need to find a new treasurer. So I'm going to turn the time over to Gary. I've not been involved in the process, but Gary, maybe tell us about what's going on in the process.
Yeah, we recommend that Lauren Gills be appointed. She was worried about that, so that's why she's here.
Oh, that's funny.
Actually, last week we had the selection committee with Councilmember Checkett, and we asked Maureen, since she kind of knew what the position was about, and then Jessica and myself, we interviewed 5 individuals. And we, after interviewing, we had a number of highly qualified candidates. But after interviewing, we unanimously are recommending that Cindy Colby be appointed as city treasurer. She's coming to us from Riverdale. She worked as an accounting clerk at Riverdale City. She has a very good knowledge of the accounting program Excel and Express Bill Pay that we already use. Seemed like a great fit, and we felt that she was very strong. Julie, do you have any comments or?
No, I think she will be
suggestions?
great. She fits the personalities of the front office ladies. I think that they will get along great. And she's just a team player. That's what I got out of her interview, and she's excited to move forward in her career at the city, and I think she'll do a great job for it.
Jessica, you have any? Maureen, you have anything to add?
I thought she was great too in the interview. I think that she comes with a lot of knowledge, and so, yeah, I think she's gonna be awesome. She'll be great.
All right.
That's the name that we are putting forth.
Cindy
Colby. Cindy with two E's.
C-O-L-B-Y.
Yeah, and it's Cindy, C-I-N-D-E-E.
Okay. So, I guess as the mayor pro tem, I can go ahead and do it even though Rick's not here.
Yes, and I have apprised the mayor. He's seen her resume and we chatted and he's concurred with that as well.
Very good. And when will she start?
She's
She's actually going to begin, part-time with us on this Thursday. Her current position is part-time at Riverdale City, and so she felt like she would be able to come in and work with us about 3 hours a day while she's transitioning, and then she anticipates starting full-time the 28th.
She'll come and shadow and learn from Maureen while she's still here.
Which was really nice of her to she offered that to come in. So
Oh, that's
I was
perfect.
impressed with that she would be willing to do that and start right away. Our main team spent enough time with her.
All right, well, I guess on behalf of the mayor then, I would make the recommendation that we appoint Cindy Colby to the position of Woods Cross City Treasurer. So I guess I need a motion and a second on that.
A second or a motion?
A motion,
I
don't
will
just make a
motion.
motion.
Absolutely.
I didn't know if that was against the rules.
No, you
I don't hire her, I can't recommend her. I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Cindy Colby as the Woods Cross City Treasurer.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right, well, we're excited to meet her, the rest of us that haven't, and she's got some big shoes to fill, so impart all of your knowledge. Everything you can give her, that would be great. We're excited for you and Dee in your new adventure, so thanks for,
We'll have her at the next council meeting this morning.
very good. See, and it didn't end up being me. That would have been a shock for Dee tonight. So guess who they appointed? Okay. Well, let's see, I'm just looking around. Next is a request to provide sponsorship funding to the Balance Davis Arts Center for the 2019 Summerfest celebration. Do we, I don't know if we have our representative from,
I move we table the item, go for the program.
okay. Next is the consideration to adopt a resolution recognizing May 13th through May 19th as Police Week in Woods Cross City. And is this a national week that we're recognizing and declaring?
Chief, do you want to tell us a little bit more about it?
The banners I noticed were up yesterday.
They look awesome.
It looks good down 800. The National Police Day Memorial Service is on the 15th of May on the Capitol lawn. All the survivors go. If, it's not paid, if they can pay to go, they go back and there's a memorial service where they also put a flower and a wreath and give a medal from the Colonel of Police. President of the United States usually speaks to that and it's a good service for. And then during that police week, they have classes that they go to for kids, for surviving spouses, and it's a great thing right there. And Utah had theirs on May second at the Capitol that, myself and Sergeant Schultz attended, where they did a ceremony for the 3 officers that died last year in Utah.
Well, we really appreciate what our police force does for our city, the way that we're represented here, so you can make sure and pass that along to your officers. We really do appreciate them. So I'd look for a motion.
Well, hang on, this says in here that if I could do any other
Oh,
event
yeah.
or recognition of the police, we could discuss that. So,
Well, I guess we could approve the motion and then we
do
can.
you want to do that
Yeah.
first? Approve it?
Well, because we're just declaring the week, right?
Perfect. That works. I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution proclaiming May 13th through the 19th as Police Week in Woods Cross City.
And it's resolution 2019-675.
2019-675.
I'll second.
All in favor? Well, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
There you go, it's unanimous. Now,
Now let's party.
what else would we,
Do you have things planned for the officers or events or anything?
On the first day, we're gonna have donut bowls, the second day donut, that's all we have planned.
Those holes are hard to come by, but good luck finding those.
do they have to match up the hole with the donut?
Yeah, they're exactly, yeah, they come from the donut.
You're gonna make them on Sunday, huh?
Yeah, no, we'll provide a couple of things in the office for the officers, during that week.
Excellent. Last week I made, or last year I made cookies, I didn't have to do that again.
We'll expect anything for sure.
Maybe we should make a motion.
I was wondering, could we bring pizza in one day, or?
Sure.
Would that be all right?
Yeah, we were thinking pizza on one day,
Yeah, we can do that.
at noon for the day guys, and then evening for the.
Yeah, we wanna make sure that the night shift gets covered as well, so. Okay, awesome.
Invite the guys that have their day off.
Which they will probably not come, but we'll like.
At least they're invited, right? I understand, not going into work during the day off.
Kind of give away a gun or something.
Put the feet in the fridge, they have to cold feet.
There you go. Awesome. I think that's great, thank you.
We really do appreciate them, they do a great job. Okay. Next is another resolution, consideration to adopt a resolution recognizing the week of May 19th through the 25th as Public Works Week in Woods Cross.
Right. This is a new resolution. We've never done a resolution honoring our public works guys, but, as we discussed, we looked around and we found that there is a public works week. It is in the same month. And so we feel we'd like to honor our public works guys as well. So, I don't know, Scott, you kind of put together the resolution, so I don't know if you've got anything that.
Jessica put it together. It's actually from the National Organization of American Public Works, and it's in the resolution. This is the 59th annual Public Works Week. Years ago, we used to do a little presentation over to the elementary school and invite grades to come out and see our equipment and stuff, but we couldn't quit doing that. But we have planned, we're working in the process that probably Thursday of that week, which is on the 25th, or the 22nd. We'll be taking our guys probably breakfast, because that's the day we start setting up on Memorial Day. We had scheduled a lunch a couple of weeks ago, but we had a water leak that day and another big event, so our guys can put through it another day. They're stressed. So this is the recognition.
Excellent, awesome, thank you, I think that's great, they deserve just as much recognition as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd look for a motion.
What number?
This is 2019-676.
I'll, make a motion to recognize May 19th through the 25th as Public Works Week in Woods Cross City.
Second. All in favor, Wallace? Aye. Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
And our public works guys do a great job too. They're behind the scenes, and that's good if you're out seeing them when they're working on a problem somewhere a lot of the time. But we appreciate you guys too. So, and I would I could go through and read these resolutions, sure, why not? I'll read the resolution. I'll do the one for the police first. So a resolution declaring the week of May 13th through the 19th, 2019 as Police Week in the city of Woods Cross, whereas the city council places the safety of the citizens above all other concerns, and whereas our police department provides excellent law enforcement services to the city, and whereas law enforcement officers in our city on a daily basis risk their lives to ensure the safety of our citizens, and whereas we, as the city council, would like to recognize the accomplishments and hard work of our dedicated law enforcement officers, and whereas the state of Utah and the nation will recognize police officers during the week of May 13th through the 19th, 2019, and whereas numerous programs have been established in our city and elsewhere throughout the state to emphasize the prevention of criminal activity, and many of these programs are sponsored by police departments. Now, therefore, we, the duly assembled city council for the city of Woods Cross, declare the week of May 13th through the 19th, 2019, Police Week, and the week in the city of Woods Cross, and encourage our citizens to acknowledge the efforts of police officers within our city, and carefully listen to and learn about the various programs provided by the police department for the protection of our citizens. And the one for Public Works, a resolution declaring the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as Public Works Week in the city of Woods Cross. Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Woods Cross City. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of Public Works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Woods Cross City to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2019 marks the 59th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, be it now. Therefore, we, the duly assembled mayor and city council of the city of Woods Cross, do hereby designate the week May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week. We urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. So for both of these, our police officers are out there keeping us safe and trying to prevent and get crime out of our city. And the public works guys have a whole different aspect of safety. They're down in the holes in the trenches and keeping our water safe and making beautiful places for us to enjoy in our parks and keeping the streets safe for our officers and for us as residents in all kinds of weather. You come by and it doesn't matter whether it's rain or snow or whatever, they're out there down in the hole, keeping us safe and making it so we've got clean water. So thanks to both of you. Let's see here. These are folks from the Balance Davis Arts Center. All right, we will come back to you. So, who wants to come and speak for you? Both of you? One of you?
We're a team.
Okay, come on up.
Here,
We're ready for you.
Thanks so much for having us tonight. We love coming every year and doing our Summerfest spiel for you. This is James Bates. He is the Summerfest director, and I'm Alicia Novell. I'm the CDAC director. And we are here to talk to you about Summerfest International Arts and Folk Festival. And of course, it's a free, family-friendly celebration of art, tradition, and cultural diversity. It features performances, events, and festivities in which multicultural music, dance, food, and visual arts are all highlighted. We have musicians, visual artists, and international folk dance groups travel to Bountiful from across the globe to participate. We also have local artists and craft people with food booths. And then our food court offers an assortment of world flavors. We've got a children's art yard that's very popular, and they have free make it and take it art projects. We also have traditional craft demonstrations and featured artists. So it's great fun for everybody. And like I said, it's free. All of our funding comes from local cities, private donations, and business sponsorships, because EDAC is a 501c3 nonprofit. You want to take it from there?
Yeah, so this year we are working with India, Singapore, and Georgia to try to get some international representation from those countries, with actual international performers. And we have quite a few local performers that have international ties that we're working with to get them to attend the festival as well, which is great. We currently have about 35 vendors and 90 for one more food vendors and three more investors. I think 14 to 20,000.
We have moved the festival from the very, very hot second week of August to the much more temperate and light until, about 9:30 at night. End of June, so it will be June 28th and 29th this year. We should not have microbursts. It'll be really nice.
Can make sure the sprinkles are all.
The sprinkles will be on. It's all gonna be fine. Did you have any questions for us?
That was June when, again?
28th and 29th.
And the New Year's reception will be on Wednesday, the 20th.
Yeah.
And leading up to the festival this year, we brought back an older program that we haven't had the opportunity to do for 30 years, which is Conversation and Culture. And so we're working with a few different people to bring in individuals to talk about the type of folk art or their cultural heritage leading up to the festival. It'll be every Monday, the 10th, which will be our fifth Monday. Kind of excited to do that.
From 6 to 8 every Monday, come to the EDAC.
All right. Well, thank you for running it every year and bringing that to us. I've attended for years and years. My parents hosted some, part of a group from, where were they from? From Macedonia years ago. And, had them in their home for a few days. That was fun. So, it's a nice way to go be exposed to some other cultures and have some great food and some music and dancing, so. Anyway, Gary, you've got it on here. In the past, I know that we've contributed, done about $1,500, and you've got it in the budget this year to increase that to $2,000.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Now, one question though is, that is for our next fiscal year, which begins July 1, so that's when we'll have money available. Is that gonna be okay with it?
That'll be fine.
Okay, so,
That'll be fine.
well,
All of our
just-
bills come in afterwards anyway.
Great, so just give me a letter, requesting it, and then, come July 1, we'll get you.
Great, thank you so much.
Great.
That's wonderful. And, I have to say hi to Lynette. We missed you at Johnson City, but we're so glad that you're here.
We're glad that you're here too.
We love her and we can't have her back.
I know, I would never.
We're a little possessive around here.
You should be.
So do we need a motion for that, or because it's in the budget already, we're good?
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Okay, so we will get you a letter right away.
Okay, great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, we look forward to it.
And thanks for the pin.
Okay. Next is item number 10. consideration to approve Old Town Center Plaza site plan amendment located at 1492 South, 800 West. Do we have anyone here from? We do. All right.
Annette, do you wanna switch over to the twos? And, oh my God, I'm not even plugged in here. There we go. All right, the Old Town Center, as you know, this was a project approved, by the Planning Commission and City Council, here about a year and a half ago, started, construction. Bright Homes has come back, recently and, discussed an issue that they, have with the plaza, park space that, would be kind of on the north end of the existing commercial building. As you remember, that was designed with some amenities in it, an arbor with a picnic, table, a barbecue, a tot lot, and then a splash pad. And, they've come back and said that they run into an issue with the splash pad, they've gone up, they need to have a permit from that from, the health department. The health department pointed out to them that, to have the, system that would circulate the water through the splash pad, they would also be required to have, restroom, facilities and that associated with it. Their only option, they said, without restrooms, the health department said that it would have to be a, non-circulating system, with the water, running through one and then being, disposed of in the sewer, which of course isn't very water-wise, and it would also be pretty expensive for, the HOA and that, keep that system. So they've asked and put in an application to amend their site plan and then asked, to reconsider that. And so the staff asked them to put together, an idea of what they would do to replace the splash pad, and they actually put together, 3 alternative, designs, replacing the splash pad with, another amenity. And the first one that they presented to the Planning Commission, would replace the splash pad with some small raised garden, planters in it that, residents, if they wanted to grow, kind of a small limited garden, they can do that. The other, again, the table, arbor, and playground equipment would remain the same. Alternative, B, they would replace the splash pad with another water feature. It would be just a plaza with, a fountain that would be placed there, again, with the other amenities as previously approved. And then the last idea or alternative they threw out was replacing it with a half-court, basketball, setup, with that. So they took that to Planning Commission, and there was quite a discussion in the Planning Commission about it. They took quite a bit of time on it, discussed the, merits of each of those, some of the concerns, with the, garden planters. They're used a few times, during the year, but, what state would they be in the rest of the year, or what would happen this summer? All of them were unused. They didn't feel that was a real reasonable one-for-one trade-off on that one. There was quite a bit of discussion about the fountain idea and the basketball court. They didn't know that, just across the street here, we have, that type of facility already in the park. And as they kind of went around discussing this, they kind of talked themselves into an alternative of their own. And in the end, they asked, Brighton Homes to put together, a plan that, again, doesn't have the splash pad, but, wouldn't put a basketball court or any of those other items in there, but kind of increase the size of the open lawn area, and would allow for a slightly larger, playground, equipment to be, placed in there. It would still have the, pergola with, covering the picnic table, and they asked that it have a few more benches, placed in and around, this amenity. And so with that, the planning commission has, recommended, really alternative B there, that, council consider adopting, the planning commission recommended, alternative as, you see here on the screen.
And the developer, I mean, is aware of it obviously, because it looks like it came from their architect or whoever it is that did their plans.
Right, the planning commission told them what they wanted, and, yeah, they went back and had their same designer put this together.
So Tim, we've chatted, and you had a couple questions for Mr. Spindler.
We did, we talked, some other questions came up, and so I did email Mr. Spindler of Brighton Home with those. One of those question was, were those that have already purchased or in the process of purchasing a townhome, are they aware that, the splash pad would not be part of this amenity? And he replied in an email that yes, they're all aware that, that would be the case. The other question that we had discussed was there really a whole lot of consideration given to working with Mr. Smith in the commercial building to, try to include a restroom facility in that, end suite that could be, configured to be part of the, splash pad. And, he replied back in the email that, you know, there is that suite next door, but he says it's pretty complicated. In his words, you know, the building is a rental and anything they can do there would probably be temporary. He indicated it's not for sale, and if it was, they would believe it would be financially possible to, with the budget they had, to keep the splash pad and incorporate restrooms into that structure. So felt like we wanted to again have the city consider the alternatives that have been proposed.
What has been Brighton's, reaction to the planning commission's recommendation?
Mr. Spedlove was there that night. You may remember from the original approval, with Brighton Homes. He was open to all those and willingly, you know, said, hey, we'll go back, we'll incorporate everything you want, and go through all that, additional work and present it to staff. And then in addition, we've emailed it out to the planning commission if they had any further comments on that. And they said, no, looks good. So that's kind of what brought us here tonight, was kind of that long route. And then I don't think Taylor's here with us tonight, but I think he sent another representative, to discuss it with you.
Is there anything else you'd like to add or comment on?
And will you state your name?
My name is Patrick Scott.
Is that mic working?
It's good. Yeah, there you go.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna break it or not. Yeah, my name is Patrick Scott. I'm here representing Brighton Homes. I think, Tim did a great job kind of summarizing things. We just wanted to make sure we did this the right way. We know that was an important part of the approval, and we're disappointed when we found out the amount of hoops we were gonna have to jump through in order to be able to have a facility like that. And so, we wanted to make sure the city had some different options and that, you know, we were willing to do any of those, and welcome your feedback on this or any of the others. Yeah, this was what the planning commission recommended, so we're fine with this, as well.
So my frustration with this is not Brighton's first rodeo, nor is it your first splash pad you put in or swimming pool. And these health codes are required by the state. So I'm finding it hard to believe that you were surprised that this was new news to you, that you needed to have restrooms.
We haven't installed pools before, this would actually be our first splash pad. And so we were aware there would be a chemical treatment requirement like a pool, but we're unaware of the bath requirement.
Other questions or?
Yeah, the conversation with the planning commission was very in-depth, and we kind of bounced around a few of these ideas. It saved Bright Homes quite a bit of money, but I also think they've added a few larger trees, more picnic, more open space. I'm almost thinking the splash pad may be fun, but I think it's also a headache, as we found with the other places that usually kids down the road want to come over, but they can't, and it's just.
Well, that was my other
I
question when they
wasn't-
first presented.
I wasn't upset that they, did away with it. I just hope that many thousands of dollars saved will go into very quality trees and benches and playground. That was something I suggested, that they increase the playground size, because I think this would be just as good. Basketball was popular, but then it gets pretty noisy at night, with the lights. It really wasn't a very big court anyway, it just caused problems.
Well, you still have the same problem with people wanting to come and play on the courts that don't live there.
I thought they did a good job coming up with it.
What's the staff's recommendation?
The staff, as we kind of went into it, with the original, alternative, I know I prefer keeping the water as part of one of the elements in this area, and I quite like the idea of going past the fountain, plaza as part of it. And, Taylor and I discussed that. I also asked him before planning commission to, give us an idea of maybe what that fountain would look like. He emailed this photograph to me as kind of an example of what the kind of structure of the fountain would look like. It wouldn't look like this exactly, but, and then as you look at the plan, they have that surrounded with some low shrubs and then, kind of a little flat area with some benches around it. Personally, that was kind of the one I preferred.
And this area is visible from east to west, is it not?
Yes, it sits back, you come down that existing driveway, and the new driveway that comes in and around this area. So as you enter the townhomes from that direction, this is definitely a focal point or gateway feature into the townhome behind it side.
Is this area dropped in and recessed any below the street area, or is it at the same elevation as the street and the parking area that comes in there?
It drops down, in fact, when you come through there from the street into the existing parking lot.
Right, from 800 west, it drops down, and then from the streets within the development, will this be on par with the elevation of those? It wouldn't be recessed down in with a retaining wall or anything? No.
If anything, it's a little elevated.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where is looking at this, where's the commercial building? Is it by the lawn area? Okay.
Yeah, you can see here's the
So when you drive in, you
north
see the
corner
tree,
of it.
not the playground.
Right, there's kind of a nice separation and buffer from, the traveled way, through here, so. In each one of these designs, they kind of set that up with, separation or transition from the driveway area on every one of the alternatives, including the planning commission.
I'm kind of leaning towards the one the planning commission recommended. Please look at visible from the street. Come and benefit the entire city, not just residents of that development.
Just to help reassure the council, and we didn't have the same thought, we're obviously going to save some money on this. which will allow us to invest in some larger churches and, as public works, I'm sure, for our playground equipment can be very expensive, so we'll be able to invest in that a little bit more. It's the entrance to our community as well. It's in a selfish way, it's a selling feature, and this will allow us to really pump up the landscaping in that area and make sure that it's really nice.
Other thoughts or discussion?
Have you had anyone back down on their, purchase?
No, we haven't. We did have, I'm not sure if they're here tonight. We let everybody know about this meeting and that we'd be talking about it, and they were welcome to come and share their thoughts if they have any. Of all of the buyers that we've had so far, I think we only had one kind of express some disappointment about it, but after kind of explaining to them and doing what Tim did with you, they kind of understood why, the rationale behind it, and we're excited to kind of see what the final decision was.
I mean, the cost to them through the HOA, the maintenance of this will be less than the operation of the.
Yeah, no, we'll be.
Especially if it was not a recirculating system.
Yeah.
That can get quite expensive. So.
He put it in it.
Not today.
Dixie would not approve hundreds.
What, the water fountain?
No, the wasting the water on the splash pad.
Water, yeah, well, the water fountain too, because you have evaporation, so it's a waste of water. But more than that, I'm thinking about little kids.
That was another concern I had
Getting
with
into
that
that water fountain.
That fountain is, it looks like it's such easy for little ones to jump in, yeah. Or accidentally.
Or to drown in, it doesn't
Yeah.
seem very much, I don't know how high, but I can tell from the pictures. But you know what? Bountiful City has their fountains, and I don't think they're working now, are they? And McDonald's has fountains, and I don't think they're working now. So as a homeowner, I would want to pay for the maintenance of that, and then what do you have there? You have mosquito hatching,
Yeah.
right? That's my viewpoint since you asked.
No, thank
I
you.
wasn't gonna say anything, but.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks. I think, that was concerned with the fountain. I like to look at the fountain, but mainly this is going to be for younger families, with little kids. That is a concern of mine. We would need to have someone around. So I like the planning commissions, I like the bigger playground and the area. I like that they've got enough benches that more than one family can hang out there.
Yep. Well, I would, entertain a motion then.
I'll make the motion that we approve the Old Town Center Plaza Suite site and site plan amendment. As discussed.
With the planning.
With the planning commission's recommendation.
Second.
All in favor, we'll start with Julie this time. Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. There you go, thank you.
Now update your website so it doesn't say splash pad. Awesome.
Looks like building one is coming along nicely.
Yeah.
Buildings doing, I don't know if that's what
Started
they're
building this week, yeah, we're getting going.
How many units have you already got under contract?
There's 5 sold so far, which with no model home is good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Will one of your units be a model home?
The one closest to the office building in that first building, we're planning on using as a model home.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 11, consideration to adopt a resolution amending the consolidated fee schedule, amending farmers market fees.
Well, during the last meeting when Katrina was in, we had a discussion concerning the farmer's market, and she made 2 suggestions. One was to back off the food truck fee. We had it at $30, move it to $15. And then she talked about, those on her committee would be able to have a booth with no cost. And so I've added those, 2 changes into the farmer market fee. So I hope I've got it right as to what we discussed. If there's anything different, we can make that adjustment over the two changes.
I think it sounds like what we discussed, and I do like that that it's added in there as permanent members, so not just a one-time, I'm coming to get my fee reduced, but participating throughout the summer to, have a meaningful committee and.
Right.
So, any other comments on that?
Did she mention, I don't know if I know, that the farmers fees should probably be waived the first year?
I don't recall. I was through listening to the tape.
Okay.
I remember hearing that.
Yeah, if you listen to it then.
Yeah.
Our friends get a lot of them waived, she encouraged that we leave the fee.
Yeah.
Okay,
She wanted.
then that must have been where
Yeah.
okay.
And this would be resolution 2019-677.
I will make a motion that we adopt resolution 2019-677, amending the consolidated fee schedule for the farmers market.
Have a second? Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Very good.
We're starting
Unanimous.
from
Okay, now the one that everyone came for. Consideration to adopt the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative budget for all city funds.
Yes, the council has been forwarded a copy of the proposed tentative budget a number of weeks ago. There are some synopsis out on that table for the public. Just so the public understands that the way the process works is that tonight the council needs to adopt the tentative budget under state law, and it's exactly as it says, it's a tentative budget. And then the council between now and the first part of June can massage that however you feel appropriate. And then the first meeting in June, you will hold a public hearing in which the public can come and comment. We'll put the budget on the website after you adopt it this evening, so the public can take a look at it. And if they have comments, they come into the public hearing. And then after that public hearing, usually the meeting after the last meeting in June, then the council adopts the budget for the next fiscal year. So that's where we're at in the process. Just as a very brief overview, this budget doesn't include any tax increases or fee increases. We'll have to discuss over the next number of weeks a possible fee increase in the garbage fund that Wasatch Systems is putting forward, so that will be a further discussion. We're looking at employee salary increases, the police of 6.25% and the non-police of 5%. Health insurance increase, I put in the tentative budget of 7%, but we were able to work with our broker and PHP and get that reduced down to 5%. So we feel good about that, where we're at. So what I'd like to do right now is turn the time over to my department heads and let them talk a little bit about their budgets. And then I've got a very, very brief PowerPoint, because you'll probably have to suffer through that during the final budget hearing. So we'll make this very brief. And then I've got a couple of items that I've listed in the report that I think require some further consideration and discussion before you adopt the final budget. So what we'll do is Judge Lindstrom is here this evening. He had his hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Weiler. So he may be home recuperating right now. So yeah, we've asked Michelle to come in and present the courts. And then we'll have Kim and the chief and Scott. So we'll go in that order.
One quick thing before she comes up there, the 5% and 6% increase, that's both kind of the merit raise that we talked about, as well as the COLA.
Yeah, and we'll have some further discussions in our work sessions concerning that. That's one thing we've been working on.
I think the judge is actually not going to come.
done, so.
How many weeks ago, we didn't want to do this, but you want it. So we did, our budget kind of pretty much basic for most of what we're asking for, it's not anything huge. We are still requesting our own court space and our own courtroom. If anybody has ever come to a court session, we are actually still capacity on stage and we're having court, but it's because we had to bring extra seating for people to come and actually have a seat. The lobby out there, for the most part, is packed still with people because we just don't have the place to put them, and because they're like little birds and stuff, they're sometimes, so it's kind of, it's hard on Tuesday for us to do court, and to do the regular business as well as trying to maneuver people in and out, so it's really blessing that we do have our own court area and court space. As far as, so you kind of wanted to let you know a little bit about what the court's been doing for the last year, like some of our accomplishments that we've done. So we did complete an internal control self-audit for our money and how it's being handled and everything, so that we can make sure that we're in compliance with AOC and with the auditors and everything is going good that way. We have also implemented the use of our court email, which helps the public have 24/7 access to us, which I think works out a little bit better since not always are they able to get through on the phone. So it works out great when we can respond to them right then if needed be. And some of our upcoming things is to make sure the courts actually, we're in transition, as you know, with huge changes with the new judge and the work through those changes and we are actually in the process of doing a court clerk certification through the state, which is something that I have been involved in helping with because I'm on the education committee for the court clerk. And it's actually something that the court clerks are really excited about, and so that we can help keep all the clerks training the same way, because not everyone does things the same. And so it's kind of hard for courts where you're the only clerk and you're doing something, somebody that you've been training for, like somebody that's been for 30 years, and they're not doing it right. And so we're trying to get a more centralized and focused on how we're doing it. And as far as with the software, actually doing court for the other clerks, other courts in our district. So we have courts that I've actually gone to help train them. We have courts that have come here. Riverdale Court is actually coming in 2 weeks, I think, like because it's really great to get trained on our process of manipulation and how we do it. So we're kind of excited about where our future in the court is headed and the changes that are going to be coming for us. So, if you guys have any questions or anything on our budget?
Can I throw out something totally random, and I'm sure it will get shot down crazily, but we just built a huge public works building with a great big multi-purpose room. Have we looked at the security, the legal, that court be held at the public works building?
We have not looked at that. We could probably, like, I don't know, there's probably some certain things we would need to do, it would need to do some security, I don't know, without us actually looking at it, how.
We can have that discussion.
And it's a much larger room.
It's a much larger room.
Right.
Now, does the judges, have to be elevated above is that a requirement?
I think it might be a requirement to have one. I know Public Works is actually talking about it before, so I know it's been on their mind about us having it down there. I mean, probably, I don't know if we could do something that we could build and move.
I'm not something that could move in, I mean, it's a stage,
It's a stage.
that gets rolled in, and that big building is not, that center's not gonna get used.
Well, that's certainly one thing we as staff can have a discussion. You know, I think that's worth discussing.
Yeah, I mean, it would, just based off of the trends and the way things have been going, Gary and I actually sat down and talked about it, because we had a couple numbers for the judges' new, salaries coming out. And just from where we were last year, we've almost matched where we were a year ago right now, and we haven't even finished the fiscal year out. So if the trend keeps going the way it's going, we eventually probably will need a much better, bigger space to house people for it. We need it in the future.
It's totally shut down.
I-
We ain't going out.
Yeah,
It's worth discussing, but I know there's security issues, we gotta get internet down there.
And the actual pedestal of the height is for the judge's safety more than anything. People come at it and they have to climb. We put it way up on the pedestal down there.
Well, we put barbed wire up.
Pull out a ladder and you can climb.
Doesn't need a wire, you know?
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure our battery's working in there.
Yeah, is there a way to turn that up? If you're-
Yeah, it's not working.
Probably need a new battery.
A triple.
Every week.
I went for
Way too much talk.
See that on their budget.
Broke it from court, I'm sorry.
They need to quit doing their karaoke.
But then then we'll go from here.
Oh,
so.
Tim, you have a microphone.
I have a mic, everyone can hear me. I'm gonna cover three budgets that, I work with, City Hall, building inspection, and community development. We'll start with City Hall. Again, this is the budget that, helps with the operation and maintenance of the City Hall, phone system, different things like that, equipment, utilities and different things. So, it's just a basic, budget to, take care of the needs of the City Hall on that one. That one's pretty simple.
Is our phone system going to be through our new IT?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Building inspection, as you know, we, contract that service out. Presently, we're using, Forsman Associates for the last couple of years, and that's worked out, pretty well. And so, this budget is kind of what we project, based on the activity that we've kind of had in the past and what we might see in this coming year. Of course, a lot of this gets covered with the, building permit fees and that are collected, and so, that's, their billing and this budget are kind of tied together with, the building activity that goes on. So, they've, assigned to us Dennis Charts specifically, that's our building official, and does most of our building reviews and inspections. There's a few other folks with Forsman that, fill in and assist from time to time, but Dennis is, the main guy and, is assigned as our building official.
So before you move on to that, approximately, and I'm probably on the other slide with the revenue, but how much revenue do we bring in annually in inspection fees? That probably should go to the general.
Yeah, let me, hold on.
Just curious how that gets offset.
I'll show you what I budgeted. I try to be a little bit conservative on the revenues and a little bit more liberal on the costs so that we don't get caught. But if you look on, this sheet right here, you got two line items that are covered there. You got, building permits, we're showing 240,000. Plus, on top of that is your plan check fee, 110. So you're probably about 350,000 there. And this is not a typical year. The last few years have been way below that, but we've got all of Shamrock, plus some of these multifamily that have come in. So I'm projecting a fair amount of fees coming in because of those. A typical year is probably quite a bit less than that. And that's why, if you look at the numbers, you probably say, why don't we have a full-time building inspector? But the problem we faced is that because this goes up and down, it's really hard to justify having a person there. So that's why we contract.
So
Well, if you looked at, impact fees over the last few years, we were just flat until the Smith development. And then we jumped way up, and then we've had a little motion since then, but for a long time, we were pretty flat. So we'd had to lay off a building inspector during all that time.
They were issuing quite a few permits during that time, but they were, small, like solar permits and residential additions and things like that. Well, just small things, a lot of them are just small things. All right, and then last, of course, is the community, development. This is the budget that, all the staff and the planning commission, and those responsibilities there. One item that, we are asking for in this budget, of course, you can see our funds there to, initiate a rewrite of the zoning ordinance. A couple of months ago, we completed the general plan, update, which was our first step, needed step, and now the next phase of it is moving in and, rewriting the zoning ordinance. The document was created and adopted in 1990 and has been amended many times since then. So it's definitely time to start fresh there with the new challenges, technologies and things that we have land use regulations in place to handle those. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Tim?
Hey, Chief.
Okay, some objectives for next year. This is something I think they've been working on previously, is to create a safe exchange zone, one that is recorded. So we'll work on that, and we'll get that accomplished. Officer retention, I believe that, we're doing that. I don't think we have any, that I know of, any dissatisfied officers. See, he's okay. I'm just pointing out to Shirley. He was on his phone, but now he's paying attention. A community policing office in Woods Crossing, and prior to getting this, as we put the budget stuff together, I didn't know that was even a consideration. So I'll make a contact over there at Smith and see if they have the space. I asked Lieutenant Asoro about it, and he said that they didn't act too savvy to that.
Yeah, we still talk to them, but hey, we can still push it.
We can still ask and see, and I think the officers would use that and then be in that shopping center more if we had a computer there, and they really don't need a phone, because everybody has a cell phone, but just a computer and a printer, yeah. Establish police department office, if the city shops with a computer. I'm not super sure the officers would use that down there, so I don't know.
I do have a question on using their the showers there. Like when we have officers who get injured or have blood on them or whatever, they usually get sent home. Is it possible to look at using those facilities?
We're currently getting a bid to change the men's restroom into a shower and then to a unisex bathroom on the other side, in our office.
What about your female officers?
Okay.
Do they just put up a?
It would just be a, no,
Option?
it would be a locked door, single use.
Oh, a locked door, single, okay,
Because that bathroom's not very big,
okay,
so if someone was in there, yeah, you just lock the door.
okay.
And that way, that could be used for the gym too, if they run to the gym, in the middle of the shift or whatever, or in the morning, and then they come in and use that. So we're gonna get a bid to have that here,
Okay, good,
so.
thank you.
And that modernizing the evidence storage capabilities, that's part of that. Our cabinets aren't very secure. If you pull on them really hard, they'll pop open. So we're replacing those and getting some temporary ones. And then we're also putting in some lockers across the wall. So officers can, well, we won't have one for each officer, but we'll have some that they can put a code in and then use it, and then put the code in again, and then it's open for the next person if they want to use them while they're working. So I think that'll help. And then do a large conference table so we can have short trainings with a television monitor to do videos and different things that come out that we can show during briefings. And then secure department phones using Verizon. If someone loses their phone and they don't have a security code on it, then they have access to our emails on that system and also passwords and whatever officers are storing. If we go to, I know we talked about FirstNet. I tried FirstNet up in Box Elder County and it didn't work up there. It works a lot better here. I think AT&T does. So FirstNet can be an option of Verizon, whichever one works best for us. But, I think it'd be more secure to have officers with city phones than their personal phones because of the security and some of the stuff that's going across people would have access to if we lost it. So we're gonna look into that. And we're currently doing a $40, stipend for each officer per month. And I think we could get, on Verizon, I know it's $39 a month for unlimited data, so we don't have overages and stuff like that on a public safety account. So we're gonna look at that.
I like that they both have, everyone would be carrying two phones, so.
And they wouldn't have that two-phone problem, but if they lost one, we could remotely wipe it, going on the internet and sign into our secure account and then clean it remotely. So that two-phone thing would be a problem, but.
But if they ever had like their phone taken for like evidence or whatever, that's their personal phone too.
Correct.
So
I had carried two for a while.
It's a pain.
I know the advantage of it, but it is a pain.
I know, I have carried two at the bank too, because I don't want my clients having my personal phone.
So if someone comes and subpoenas or grandma requests an officer's text messages, they pretty much get the whole thing.
Yeah.
Everything that's on it, personal pictures, and so, that's a
It is a pain, but,
I agree.
downside of having your own phone and being your work phone, so. But we're gonna look into that and see what the best options there are. And then complete the FBI CJI audit. I think we can complete that this year, we'll be done with that. And then we've put in the budget, with Gary's approval for 4 new vehicles next year. We have, again, vehicles over 100,000 miles, even though we've purchased 4 and replaced those, so we still need to upgrade some vehicles next year if we can, if the budget allows and if, as we work through the year. And I think that's it, unless you have any questions.
So, Gary, on the salaries, is this covering to bring our officers up to that 11-year pay scale and to get them where they should be?
Well, yeah, and that's why there's a difference between the police and the non-police, because the 6.25 gives us an 11-step pay grade, so those are on them. The chief has got a few of the employees that needs some adjustments, we're working through those, but yeah, we're following the plan of the 11 step.
11 years?
11 years.
Okay,
Yeah, 11 steps through there, yeah, 11 years.
so they'll top out at 11 years?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then what happens, I know there was legislative action this year on the tier 2 and trying to fix it for public safety. What ended up happening, did it get passed and it wasn't funded, or it got passed and the first year is funded by the state, and then, so with that then, because we did our own adjustment, do we need to reevaluate the adjustment we did?
Exactly.
To make it so that we're in line with.
Yeah, we'll have to ferret that out and we'll make some adjustments at least for this year.
I can maybe answer initially.
Yeah.
So, what they passed is not effective until July 1, 2020.
Oh,
And you
so
are
another year.
anticipate that there will be some mid-year legislative sessions regarding, because in correcting some, they've now created inequity in others, and so, at the meeting at URS that I attended recently, felt like we're not done yet.
But it's July 1, 2020.
Correct.
So we're
So
another
we'll still match.
fiscal year out.
So we could
Okay.
continue doing what we did last year, or,
This-
consider something new, but URS is not.
There's no action until.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this budget reflects what we did last year, so just make that clear.
And also that bill has a mandate that the city will pay the 12% and the officer will pay 2% up to 14%. And then that's where it's supposed to be capped. So the city can cover that extra 2%, or they can put it on the officers. It's part of the bill.
state, because that got taken out, I guess. Probably as they hit their whole tax thing and everything fell apart with their tax reform.
Yeah, it's a little over 5 million to do that, and they used it somewhere else.
All right. So moving in the right direction. Right,
Yep, I think we've made some great strides.
okay.
And, our police department has been pretty stable over the last little while, so that's been helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome, that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
Maintain that now.
Anything else from you, Chief?
Nope.
Any other questions for Chief? Okay. Scott?
Scott. I have 10 or 12 or so budgets, whatever you want to call them. I'm not going through all of them. Street department's the first one that I just want to visit upon. The request we have is for a 2.5 ton plow truck. We are I am actually looking at a wing concept on this truck, to be able to be more productive in it. Neighboring cities have them, I want to visit with them, see how they've done. Just for your information, we have 4 plow trucks. Average age of them plow trucks are 18 years old. We have not bought a new plow truck since 2011, or 2001. The 2 newest ones is 2003, which we bought from Salt Lake County in 2004. So, that kind of gives you a little history there. We actually are, I remember, right, in the capital improvement plan, we had requested money for a barricade trailer. And as a review of the budget, we actually have it in this year, and so it is being built this year, so that capital improvement fund, there wasn't funded in it, so you know that it was moving forward. One thing that we probably do need to make an adjustment is for school crossing lights, if we want to upgrade them. Been in contact with the electrician a number of times, and there's no one out there that will guarantee us anything on a retro.
Well, and they were
There's
out,
one company, but we just can't get numbers.
they
we
were
think
not
it will
working this past week, again, when I drove through, Stephanie.
Stephanie's problem is a switch,
Okay.
and I talked to Stephanie about it. You shouldn't be doing it at this time of year, it's been freezing.
Right.
You just leave the switch on and heat itself up and it goes.
Okay.
She hasn't told me about it. I
Okay.
can't do anything
Well, I
about
didn't
it.
shoot for one day, just, so I don't know if power was out or.
No, it's a switch. I drove through there and it wasn't working. I turned it on and she said, how did you get it to work? That was about 3 weeks ago. Pressed the switch on. So
Okay.
we do need to probably add that in if we desire to change them right now. In the shops, we are requesting some additional money there to put blinds in the big large room and also to modify, to add some cabinets in the back break room that we did not have during construction.
The blinds for that room, it looked like, that whole west wall is run with conduit.
Correct.
So are they automated blinds for the top section or something so that you can?
It's either full blind. As we talked with the blind manufacturer, they'd be a full window. They're similar to like the ones in the truss, most of these are probably in the truss building in the upper story. And that library in Salt Lake, so they're like a 2% light through. We probably do need them. We did have a meeting down there last week at noon, presentation from Ron Water Conservation, and it is kind of bright. You can't use the projector. We're working on TV problems that we have down there. Can't use the projector and wash it out. So that's what our request is in shops, because we're looking at. In the Parks Department, really we have no large items to purchase in there. We'll continue our mowing contract, but we do want to develop a depreciation plan so that we can get on top of replacement of our playgrounds. We had one kind of in-house a while ago, and we want to update that. So that's the plan. Class C roads, we do have money in there to have LTAP do our road inventory management program. We do that about every 5, 6 years, and so it's time again to update that, give us a status where we're at. We're looking at road projects of, potential Sorrento Drive, 1500 south, west of 8 west, 1500 west over off of 2600, and 1250 west, going into our shop facility. Trying to do some work on that. So we're in the work of trying to get a project put out. We'll continue with the sidewalk trip hazards, and we'll continue with our maintenance of crack sealing and silt coating. And then our next items is our water, enterprise funds water department. We have our meter replacement program that we've said that we're going to fund for 3 years. We do need to take and really look at well number 4 rehabilitation. When we had the earthquake east of Idaho, 8 months ago, or whatever it's been, it shook our well, and we have a screened well with silica sand in it. And somehow it shook, and we got silica sand in our pre-treatment filters. And so we wanted to take and at least pull it, put a camera down, and see if we could discover if there's a hole. It hasn't happened since then, but we can tell when we have earthquakes. And when we had one in 90%, had to go check, because they create problems. So we want to look at that, and there could be a potential rehab in that well. And then in the storm drain, well, both water and storm drain, you see both in enterprise fund and impact fee. Sometimes we call them miscellaneous line, sometimes we have a line item for a project. So between them four funds, when we get development, for example, the 1950 South, townhomes that's going to be built up there, we have a storm drain line that's in the backyard of them. We need to relocate it so they can get a 15-foot buffer in there, but our pipe's rotted out. It's 40 years old, it's corrugated pipe. So as these developments come in, we're trying to stay ahead and do projects with them. 24, 25 South, we got a big project, we're upside the pipeline. 2600 South Redwood Road, that corner develops, and they keep telling us it's going to, we've got water line and storm drain in there. So we have these projects that kind of pop up on us. And so that's why we sometimes don't have anything left in what we are trying to fund. So that's really all I have. If you got questions on any departments, I can answer.
Just got one question on, you talked about sidewalk trip hazard fixing. So I know you're limited on how much you can take off. So in those areas where you've come through and grounded off, and there's some that are beyond that, what happens with those? Do they just stay?
Well, yeah, until we get through there, but we run 2 programs. We'll cut them if they're less than an inch. More than an inch, then we go in and fully concrete replacement.
And so when you do that, you end up removing the tree roots and everything too, and?
We've only done it on 2 blocks, and trip hazard removal, I do it in a block by block section instead of running all over town. I think it's very beneficial, and then we can keep organized. And so we are putting the project together on concrete replacement too.
Okay, on speaking of concrete replacement, on 675 west and 1375 south, there's a lifted, I noticed the other day, I don't know if that's on your list.
That block was done a few years ago, and we're not going to be back there for a few years.
I don't know if you can trim it, you don't go and trim?
Only less than an inch.
Okay.
As people talk to me, as to if you want to try something, for example, the corner house at 1500 south and 675 west, the sidewalk lifted quite a bit. And before I got over to talk to the guy, he experimented, he had some concrete patch in his basement. He went out and patched that over it and made it like a ramp, and it held up really well. And so there's been a few guys who say, what can I do to do this? It's like suggested to them. And that may be another thing we try to do to get by with some of this, so it could be more random. So that's kind of what I've been trying to accomplish.
So Scott, with that, if somebody planted a tree where they really shouldn't have, and it's really bad, is the city taking responsibility to remove that tree, or are you telling the property owner to remove the tree, and then you'll asphalt concrete over that?
So if the tree was planted in the older part of town that was not authorized by the city development standards, I tell the resident, that's your responsibility. That's your tree, because we have not got a decision whose tree it is. We say it's their tree. If it's in the newer part of town, then we're just cutting the roots off, unless it's so bad and the tree died, then we have to take a couple out. So.
And the difference being in the new areas, the developers were required to put the trees in, and then the city has taken over maintenance of those for a period of time.
And it's been a very interesting, Ryan, if I could say, on his road, the road I've been watching, about half of the trees have started to raise the concrete, and the other half hasn't touched them.
Some don't do it at all, and others, they push it up this high.
And it can be, there's two trees, we try to do 2 trees in a lot, one tree can be just fine, the other tree will raise it, so it's not how we're watering it, it's just very random.
And it's funny too, because, I mean, the trees were all the same diameter going in, and, you might have 2 trees in the same yard, so in the same lot, and one tree now is this big around, and one tree is this big around. So they were same trees, put in very same day, same size, everything.
But, you know, yeah, it's a very, my guys hate the street trees, but if you drive down Ryan Street, drive down 1820 style, and a few of them on the road done, they're starting to be really attractive neighborhoods, you know, and so, and between the tracks, farm out, you know, very attractive neighborhoods.
It's havoc on the sidewalks, but
Yeah.
not all of them.
Not all. Farm Meadows, very little being raised by right now.
So on the school zone signs, didn't we say it was about $10,000 to replace the 4? They were 2,500 a piece?
No, I think it was more than that. I think it was closer to 15, if I remember right.
Okay. But you have those.
We just gotta decide which one we wanna use. That company that we talked with, I mean, they're out of Colorado. We have a local supplier, we're gonna change them out, I think.
Yeah, go with
local supplier.
Okay. And then, we've talked about, how to deal with the lack of wood chips in the park. And I was talking down in St. George to some vendors about like the snap-in flooring tiles. And one of them mentioned that they had given us a bid about maintaining our parks for us and coming in twice a year and refilling the wood chips and cleaning the equipment.
That's news to me.
We gave it to Mark, so,
It's news to me.
okay,
So I'm saying, we do have, we have our softball, wood chip, we call it softball.
yeah,
We have a semi-load that's been brought in, it's a matter of them getting out to put them, we do that about once a year.
okay.
And then-
Well,
and
last
then
year it
there's
didn't
supposed
get
to-
done, and so that's why.
It did, in some parks.
Okay, so it didn't get done, because the park, it needs to be done in all the parks. We
Not
need to be
necessarily.
maintaining them.
Not necessarily.
Why not?
There's a certain depth of it, and if it doesn't need it, then we don't refill it.
Okay,
But they do add some to them, they do distribute it around so that there's that depth, like the swings is constant pushing.
Right.
And it's bottom and side, and they're supposed to be taking and refilling them areas on an occasional basis. We do have softball brought in. The new playgrounds, we will look at them, I don't know about the snapping tiles, but there is a full mat.
yeah,
And Centerville has been using them for a while, so like to visit with them, you can always get something from Selzman, but
well,
another
North Salt Lake
agency
is
is
using them as
willing.
well, and I talked to one of the vendors, and they said that the tiles are nice because if something happens, you just take those certain tiles out instead of having to replace the entire flooring. So it's another option to look at, but if you're not aware of that bid, then you said you talked to Mark, so I'm just
Well,
curious,
that's
I'd like
a
to see it.
difference, I have not seen it,
Okay.
so. Okay?
Any other questions for Scott? Thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna kind of give you an overview of the budget, the 2020 budget. The general fund revenues, again, 44% of our revenues come from sales tax. We've kind of whittled away from that over the years. I remember when I first came here, we were over, it was close to 60%. So we've been able to move that down a little bit. Property tax, again, is the second biggest, then we've got the energy use tax, our road funds, and we were able to supplement that with Proposition 1, so that's been very helpful there. And then our building permits this year, again, a little bit higher than they have been in the past, with all the development going on. General fund expenditures, again, this gives you an idea of each of the departments within the general fund. Police, again, because we've got a lot of employees there, it is, of course, the biggest expenditure there. With the public works, that includes the streets and the shops department, then administration, combined parks direct together, fire, which we do through contract with South Davis, community development, judicial, and your debt. So you can kind of see the relative expenditures we do in the general fund for each of those areas. Expenditure by type, 46% of our budget in the general fund is for personnel. Again, with the police department, with a large number of employees there, that's what's mainly driving that. 34% is our operating expenses, 17% capital, and then 3% debt service. So that's kind of the breakdown of the expenditure by type. In the enterprise funds, no increases for fiscal year 2020, with the caveat we'll have to discuss the garbage fund there. Water fund, your water rates cover 89% of your water revenues. Impact fees 8%, and we have miscellaneous fees of 3%. So you can see the large revenue driver of the water fund are the water rates. Looking at expenditures, we've got 17% personnel, 34% operating, and that's probably a little higher this year because included in that is the meter replacement program. And since the meters are small, relatively small cost, we're not showing those as capital, we're just showing those as replacement. So that's why that's a little bit higher. Capital a little bit lower because we're shifting the funds that would typically go to capital and getting those meters replaced. And you got the depreciation and your debt service. We've got two bonds. One is an older bond on reservoirs and lines that we did a number of years ago, and then the water treatment plant. Then the interest, 3% is on those bonds. Garbage fund, 85% of your revenues are come through your fees, 14% of your green waste fees, a little bit of interest there. Garbage, personnel 8%, since we do not do any of the collection of that, this is basically for the billing and taking the garbage cans out and back. Operating is the lion's share for your, what we pay waste management, Wasatch for their dumping and our green waste fees. And then the equipment is 1%, that's just basically replacing the cans. But probably over the years, that's going to increase maybe a little bit because our cans are taking it a bit. Stormwater fund, again, the majority of that comes from our stormwater fees, just a small percent on interest and some permits that we charge. The breakdown in the stormwater fund is personnel 26%, operating 35%, capital 21%, and then the depreciation is 18%. So that's kind of the breakdown of the funds generally. I don't know if the council has any questions on anything else that's in the budget. I do have a couple of things that I put in my report. One is the capital improvements in the general fund. Scott mentioned the 2.5-ton snowplow, and the chief mentioned the 4 police cars. In the general fund, traditionally over the last number of years, we've been able to cover all of our personnel and operating costs, but when it comes to large, capital expenditures, it's been difficult for me to get those. We really haven't set up a funding mechanism to do those. So over the years, we've solved the park problems. We had some issues before in Eden Park with the rack tax and the park impact fees. We've been able to cover those expenditures, those capital, so those are taken care of. Our streets, we had some real issues with them, but with Proposition 1 and also the new, $0.25 that we're going to get, hopefully we can keep ahead of that. But for the things in the general fund, particularly heavily expensive equipment items, for this budget year, I'm going to coming out of the general fund surplus, but that's not sustainable. So what we probably need to do is in our next strategic plan is discuss that and figure out how to deal with our capital expenditures. Particularly the police department, as your chief mentioned, we've got a lot of cars that do need to be replaced over the year, and I'd like to get into a rotation so that we just constantly keep those up, because if we get our police cars, the mileage down, then our maintenance costs and that are good. So that's one item. The second item is, the chief and I have discussed putting code enforcement into the police department. That is not funded in the tentative budget, but we've had some further discussions, and one thing that the chief and I discussed is the fine revenue, and as you've noticed over the last number of months, that has increased, and if we keep that level of increase, then we can use that and fund that officer. And so, what I'd like to do is over the next month, again, take a look at that and see how that's going. If it is, then I'll feel comfortable with increasing that revenue and funding that position. And, one thing that we talked about today is maybe having that, at office also do some truck inspections. Because it looks cross, we have a lot of big trucks coming through our city, and, with Legacy opening up the trucks, we'll probably have a lot more. So, that's one area that we look at.
I know the mayor wants that, he mentioned that in St. George.
Yeah, he really wants.
Yeah, he does. Well, and, we took one of the classes, Wally and the mayor and I took, was on the medical marijuana and the transporting of it. And those trucks have to have a permit from the state for every trip. So that'll be interesting to see if they actually get their permits, yeah, so I think that'll be a good thing.
Good. The third one is, as I mentioned, is the garbage fund with Wasatch Integrated Waste, looking at their recycling facility and increasing the monthly fee for that. How that's all going to interface, because I think over time, that will work itself through, because if we do that, we can reduce our recycling waste and probably adjust that, but in the short term, I'm not sure how that's going to work. So we'll have to have some further discussion on that, how that works. The last item is the park capital, projects. The end of this fiscal year, you'll have about $800,000, in the RAP tax and park impact fund. And then, your revenues for fiscal year, 20, you'll probably collect another $500,000. So you'll have a pretty good chunk of money, to spend on park improvements. And so we probably want to discuss where you want those to go, if you want to still save that much. Because those are types of projects, you might want to save it up even more and then do a big project. So those are some things we will need to discuss. So those are kind of my thoughts. I'll leave it to you if you've got some other things that you'd like to discuss, and then we probably need to schedule a work session. I know we got the mayor's gone for a while, and I think Ryan's gonna be leaving, so we may have a window there that we can. So that's all I've got.
I guess my only, question would be, I mean, you've got a zero-based budget where, you know, revenue and expenses plus pulling some out of, general fund reserves to fund some things. With this last year and our big overrun on city shops and some of those things, I feel like we're depleting our reserves, and that's just the account in me that worries me. Yeah. And so I'd like to see us, and, you know, maybe it's not this year, but I think we need to get serious about, putting a little little bit back in there and building that back up, because you never know when something big happens and we're gonna need that. And so I just would feel better if we are planning for that, and instead of continuing to deplete it, we've got a good plan for building it back up.
And that's why I put that as an item to discuss. So I want to make the council aware that we are pulling from the reserves. My goal, my hope is that I was fairly conservative on the sales tax projection, and that's because if you notice the last few months, it's been dropping from the previous year, so I felt very antsy about projecting a fair amount. So what I did is I projected a little bit lower and then use the general fund. I'm hoping, because we've got some projects, some businesses that hopefully will be coming into the city, that maybe it'll bolster that up, and maybe we won't have to use our reserves. But you're 100% correct. We pulled a lot from reserves in fiscal year 19 from shops, a lot of funds. Now, those funds, like the RAP tax, the Class C, those will be built back up. But the general fund is the one that I'm concerned about. We need this fund.
Any other questions for
I
Gary?
just wondered, when does our insurance policy renew? Because I'd really like to look at pricing that out again against the trust and the other options. I
Okay.
still have a bad taste in my mouth about them not paying for those
Well, then,
statements, so.
we're right about at the end of it this year, so we'd have to do it for fiscal year
20 or 21.
21, okay.
So what we need to do is, probably the best time to start that discussion would be late in the fall of next year. Okay, so if you want us to go out and get, quotes from others, that's the time to do it.
This coming fall of 19 or of 2020?
No, the coming fall of 19, so
Or our renewal's already mostly completed to start in July.
Okay.
So then we
That's
would work
why I
on it
was
with
wondering.
more
Okay.
in place for
So
July next year.
it'd be July 20, that might have been confusing,
Okay.
fiscal year 21, but July
Yes,
20.
okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Comments, concerns? If not, then I would entertain a motion to adopt the, fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative budget.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Wally? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
You want to set a date for your work
Yeah.
session?
We probably should.
We did have the 14th flagged, but I don't know if the mayor's back.
The mayor's not back until May 18th.
Okay. I will,
I go up.
thank you.
And when are you leaving, Ryan?
I leave on the 27th.
Oh. So that gives us the window between the 20th and the 24th, somewhere there.
We have the other meeting scheduled the 21st.
Yeah, that's your typical city council meeting.
Would we want to try to meet early that day?
You could, and you could actually meet early and we could have a later starting council meeting if that would help. Because I don't anticipate having a whole lot on that agenda, we can kind of lighten it up.
That's one that everybody already plans on.
So that's an option.
Is there a possibility to move council up to 6 o'clock start? Try and keep the last through council as quick as possible. And then you have after council, which gives you a little bit more flexibility to discuss things, so you're not saying, you have to be done in 2 minutes because council.
Sure. Yeah, we can do it.
I would prefer to start council meeting at 6. And,
Yeah, that's not.
and try to keep the agenda as wide as possible.
That'd work for me.
You wanna do that? That's probably the easiest logistically.
We just need to let the mayor know.
Okay, I can do that.
And test
3 before,
Yeah.
8 before.
Ask for me to confirm. No, I got it.
So
If
start
I'm not
at
here,
six,
I'm
start at 6 o'clock on the 21st then, and go till midnight.
Are you bringing treats?
Oh,
It's
but-
your turn.
I Jessica will. Oh, that will be done at midnight, you're thinking more like 2, or?
She knows it. I said 10, but okay.
You want to start earlier, or is 6 about the good time for you all?
I can start earlier, I just don't know if that's fair to.
I know Tammy has a harder time getting here much earlier than 6.
Okay, let's go at 6. and
We could send her the treats when she's
Yeah.
not here.
We'll start at 6, and we'll just see if we can keep the agenda down.
Okay. Okay, well, that brings us to our second and final open session. If anyone would like to come and address the council.
I think we think tonight, but can you hear me in my?
If you just grab the microphone itself and tilt just the top part and tilt
Did I tell
the.
you I was the longest baby born in my hospital when I was born? I broke the record for the longest baby being born in the hospital. I don't know the last time I ever grew, I don't know. But anyway, I had an experience this week with the police department, and I was in workforce services. I'm not unemployed, but I go there and use their computers because they're really, really fast. And the staff there is awesome. And, I'm sitting there at the computer doing my thing, and this young man walks in, and I'm talking to him about getting their taken away his unemployment. And he's all happy. And my first clue was, he's wearing his jammies, a beanie. And he sits down at the computer, and the clerk tries to help him file for unemployment. Well, he doesn't have a phone. And he doesn't remember his password. And he's getting madder and madder by the minute, and I'm starting to get scared. This guy's not okay. So, I stepped outside and called 911. I wanted the cops to come down there and give him a good talking to. He was bullying the clerk, he was yelling and screaming and turning on. Anyway, so this cute little young officer from Wisconsin comes buzzing down there. By this time, I guess the guy saw me calling 911. I stepped outside the building trying to be really discreet, you know. But I guess he saw me outside calling my phone. Anyway, he takes off running somewhere. He goes behind the building or something. I give the cute little cop a description, and then I go back, and I still got the dispatcher on the phone, I guess, I think at that point in time. And then I had a new thing happen to me that I thought I'd been long enough, I wasn't gonna have a lot of new things happen to me. But the dispatcher says to me, now go back inside and tell the staff to lock the doors. And I'm going, well, I don't think they're gonna listen to me. She says, no, you need to go back inside and tell them to lock the doors, because that man might come back. So I went inside and told the clerk there at Workforce Services, I said, the dispatcher says, you need to lock the doors. Well, they didn't do it, they wouldn't do it. And so the cops were there, they were taking care of the guy and whatever, and so I let that set down at the computer. Anyway, that was a new dilemma for me, because the wise thing to do would have been to lock the doors. But I don't think the public thinks that way. A public building or a grocery store or whatever, they don't think that way. We don't recognize the risk. So anyway, just wanted to let you know, Chief, you might want to go do some educating of workforce services and some other places, because I'm sure you've seen this happen before. When the dispatcher tells you to do something, is that a police order, or is that just a guideline and a recommendation?
Just a recommendation from them. If you had a weapon that you saw, then it would have been more imminent, maybe lock the door, came back in, but
Yeah.
it was just a possible threat and had made threats.
Yeah.
And probably that's just a.
Well, to me, he was a threat, so I didn't know whether he had a gun or not, but anyway, that was my experience with the Wisconsin police this week, and they arrived very quickly, and the young officer handled it very professionally. But I think Workforce Services did not handle it really well.
Is Workforce Services still in their building down here?
Yes.
As of right now, or weren't
Yes.
they leaving?
They just downsized.
They downside.
They took away half the building.
Okay.
And that's kind of the other thing that kind of bothers me about that place, it's kind of you've only got the exit where the young man came in, and then the other exit is clear down at the other end of the building, and so you're kind of trapped, kind of like you are in this building, in here.
That's why we have the chief come.
Yeah.
I'm following him.
Well, I think all I have to do is stand right here with the gun and I got y'all.
Let's hope not.
Don't I?
I don't think you're not gonna
Anyway, one more thing about your courtroom. Now, I hope I don't have to have a reason to come to your courtroom ever again, but I was wondering if maybe, why can't you just take out that wall there and you don't need that room over there anymore and move this whole thing back? Wouldn't the judge like another exit? Let's give him another exit out there.
Well, right now, that room still gets used.
For what?
Well, the YCC meets over there, they have different meetings and things over there. They talked about it at one time, and putting up some kind of a accordion wall or something, and
Yeah, a sliding wall or something. They're not gonna hurt your husband. Anyway. And they only come in on Tuesdays, is it only on Tuesdays? Yeah. Idea.
thanks, Dixie.
You're welcome.
Anyone else for open session? We've got all night.
The way Ryan runs, I think we do have all night.
So I got a quick question for Tim. All the cars, all the Ford trucks and stuff that are up in the old Smith, are those earmarked for our new fleet dealership down there on Redwood Road, or what are they doing with all of them?
You know, I don't know exactly, the status of all those vehicles, but it's some of the fleet that we've got, but, my understanding is, yeah, some of them could be part of this future business deal, so.
I haven't been
They're
down
just
here for
tight
a
on
while.
space, because for a while, they kind of had them down there on Redwood Road, but of course, they had to do their construction.
They're using the building as repair already?
No, they're contractors in the process of
Okay.
still remodeling the building for their use.
Whatever happened to that, children's center that was gonna go in the old McDonald's place?
They wound up buying the bank next door.
Okay.
They rethought kind of the layout of the building, and so they let that approval expire, planning commission approval. And they sent an architect into our DRC a week or two ago, with, kind of new building layout, 2 buildings on the side, and, more for retail use, perhaps even, eatery in one of the suites or something, so.
Okay. Also, I don't know, is this council adjourned?
Sure.
Session?
Well, we haven't had anyone else
I
come
know.
up,
Donnie,
maybe
do you
up
have
for our all
something?
night.
No? You sure? Okay. There's, the long white vinyl fence has been tagged again, so,
The one in front of
yeah,
what used to be Pete Profile,
yeah, well, yeah.
across from Apartment Oaks.
Uh-huh.
Well, is it
The
freshly
one
tagged?
never got
But some of it's been there for
covered.
months.
The other one, they come back and redid what was
painted
what was
over.
painted over,
Mhm.
yeah. It's TNT something, whatever, I don't know. So, and the other one is still there that we brought up for everybody.
I think they were calling out one of the officers, it's like X9 or something. Anything else from council?
I thought our, conference was really good, we missed you and Matt.
I missed being there.
Missed you guys. It was really good, the FEMA guy was incredible. He gave us a lot of information that we as cities need to get on as far as emergency planning and educating our residents. And one of the things that he asked is how many cities have an agreement with their grocery stores that if a disaster happens, you have the right to purchase all of their water at their cost. And I was like, no one raised their hand, and he said, that's the first thing we need to do as a city. So I thought that was really interesting, and the second was to have a disaster recovery on retainer as a city as well. So, there was a lot more. He was talking about how FEMA really needs to shift their focus from recovery to prevention and education of the people. Because people think FEMA's gonna come in and rebuild their house, when really they get about $4,000 to $6,000 from those disasters, so it's important that we, let our residents know they need to be insured and properly insured, so.
In the budget stuff, you mentioned, CDBG, with the subsidence area.
Yeah, that'll be in the RDA.
meeting.
Oh, that's on our next meeting, okay, I knew I saw it somewhere.
Yep.
Perfect, I'll turn my page over then. Well, let's go, planning commission report, Tim.
The big thing was on the town center that we talked about, and, Tim gave us a really good, discussion on the rail station area plan. Does that come to this group?
It will. I had a meeting this week with the consultants. They're gonna fine tune a few things, and then early next month, they would like to meet with the council. We'll invite the planning commission to your meeting, and they make a presentation of kind of what they've found out from the workshop and different things and scenarios they put together.
There was some really practical stuff, and there was some really far out stuff. You just kind of shake your head and say.
I don't know, I like that new road, I like that new
road.
road, so right over those railroad tracks.
So anyway, that was a big discussion, that's about it.
That's the industrial.
Okay,
It's just, it all costs money.
Oh, yeah.
So when the power's off,
You're gonna get
that all
more.
helps give you some money to put in a new road.
so South David Sewer District, that's me, I know, you're not planning commission, so. I was there for our meeting, a couple of weeks ago, and I had to leave early, and it was right as they were talking about the solution that they think they've found for the algae project. So, I hope to have an update maybe this week or next week, and I'll share it with you at our next meeting. But there was some excitement because they think they've maybe dialed in on the problem. For those that haven't been here for all the meetings, when I mentioned little things about this, they have two projects going on. One's really almost at completion, where they've built a new facility at the south plant to take food waste and turn it into energy from all up and down the Wasatch Front. They're accepting food waste, they've got the digesters full, they're starting to feed it through. They've been waiting on something with their connection with Dominion Energy in order to be able to start putting the gas into the pipeline. So that one's running great. The other is a process that kind of gets bolted on at the end of the full treatment process. And the EPA has some requirements, and from the EPA to the state Division of Water Quality, as far as nutrients that can be released into the water at the end of the process, into the effluent. And that, those limits have been reduced, and the districts up and down the state are having a hard time meeting those going forward because they've been reduced so low. So there's a company in Canada that has, in Montana, that has developed a process, and a technology to take algae and grow algae in that waste stream at the very end, and the algae eat those nutrients and remove those nutrients from the water. And it's a great process unless the algae die. So, they tested it all the way through and it worked great, and then they built what they call, their stock culture fence, which is kind of a miniature model, and it's a bunch of 4-inch piping that's glass pipe, and so the algae gets introduced into that waste stream where all of the waste really has been taken out. Now there's just nutrients, phosphorus and nitrogen and different things. And the algae gets introduced into that. It runs through this series of pipes that are clear, and it's in a greenhouse, so it absorbs sunlight and light during the night from some ultraviolet light. And the algae grow, and their life cycle is very short. In the time that it runs through, their whole purpose in life is to multiply and replenish and create more algae. And as they do that, they continue to eat all of these nutrients, and it builds up to a point where they start to compete, and so then they pull some of the algae out and reduce it and put the others back in, and it just keeps, it's a cycle that just keeps replenishing itself. So they take this algae that's harvested and they dry it, and then they have a buyer for it. They have a contract with a company called Algix, and Algix does all kinds of stuff with algae. One of the main things they do is they make insoles for sports shoes. So it's a plastic, basically, a foam, and it's great. It's got properties that make it so they don't absorb odor, and they're more biodegradable in the end, and all these things. And so they've got this contract in place. They pull the algae out and use it for that, and it will pay for itself if all goes well, and it takes care of the nutrient problem for a couple of $1 million. So Logan City and Cache Valley, they've been using a lagoon system for their wastewater treatment. And so it's an older, less technologically advanced system where it develops algae in the ponds, and the ponds eat the nutrients and process it, and then eventually it's cleaner water. But because of this nutrient removal problem and having these lower limits, they were gonna have to redo their whole system to the tune of about $110 million. And this system could be built for maybe $20 million and make enough money from the sale of the algae to pay for the system. So the cost would be there initially, but it would pay off the bonds and wouldn't cost the residents anything. So as they got it started and kind of on a larger scale in this stock culture fence, before they build it on a huge scale, eventually it will be a greenhouse that's probably almost a football field long and, I don't know, 40 feet wide or something like that, and it'll be floor-to-ceiling tubes, all with water going through them, absorbing light, making algae. But at the south plant, when they got it up to scale in this smaller plant, it would run for a day or two and get up to capacity, and then the algae would die, and they couldn't figure out what the problem was. And so something was building up a toxicity level and killing off the algae. So they tried different things, they put a filter in, the only thing they could think of is that it somehow as it circulates and it gets recirculated through there, it builds up a higher level of some heavy metals. And those heavy metals come through the sewer system. Water is corrosive, it eats lead pipes and copper pipes and all kinds of things. Just as water itself, not with anything else in it, it's corrosive. But for some reason, that happens at the south plant and not at the north plant that's down here by Bountiful Pond. And so they've had all kinds of experts working on it, trying to figure out the solution to this problem. And they think they've got it narrowed in, and I didn't hear the punchline at the end.
That's like a cliffhanger.
I know, so you're gonna have to come back in a couple of weeks, and hopefully I'll have the answer for you. But they were super excited about it and wanting to try it on a larger scale. So the good news is, it looks like it's moving forward instead of still snagged, and so they've got to test this new solution. They think that it's a solution that is economical and still makes the project economically feasible without the residents having to pay a higher sewer fee. The hope is, because we all doubled our sewer fee here in the last 6 months, we kept the same sewer rate for 25 years or 30 years or whatever, and even doubled, we still have a lower sewer rate than anyone else in the state. Doesn't make me feel any better, I know, because it's now double what you were paying, but it's a deal. But the hope is, the state required us to raise the rates and to double them in order to give us the funding for this project, because it's a loan from the state, and they wouldn't finalize the funding until our rates showed that we could pay it off without revenue from the project. So hopefully, when the project gets up and running, we'll be able to show there's plenty of revenue coming from the project, and then in the future, maybe we reduce that rate and bring it back down. I keep joking that we'll be the first sewer district in the nation to offer a rebate for flushing the toilet. So, anyway, that's my update there.
And that's why I'm going to read the word.
You should. I will display it proudly.
I know you will.
Brian, in our drinking water that we drink, what are the heavy metals that are in our drinking water? It's not arsenic, it's not lead, it's not.
I don't know, Scott would have to tell us that. There's a report that we get every year, that we're required to produce, and I think it's posted every year out on the website.
I've looked at it and I'm not seeing high levels of heavy metals.
Well, and it's, Woods Cross's water all goes to the north plant. So it's not our water
Okay.
that's causing the
Well,
problems.
I'm wondering why, you made the statement that the water is acidic and.
Water is corrosive just by nature, and so there will be some levels of copper and lead in all of the water.
But our water is alkaline, and what it does is deposits calcium carbonate on the inside of the piping. So it shouldn't be pulling a whole lot of metal out of the piping.
So, I'm not the water expert, but I just know that for some reason from the south plant, and they haven't figured out why, whether there's a larger percentage of older homes or a certain industry that is more corrosive, that's discharging, they didn't know, they were looking for all of those answers, so.
It's a refinery.
Well, I mean, we have two refineries that come right here between Woods Cross and West Bountiful that, the Holly refinery is pretty good sized, and yet,
Okay.
this plant doesn't have the same issues, so.
I hope you're right.
They don't know. Hopefully I'll have more information for you in a couple of weeks.
We're excited.
So, okay, mayor's report, well, the mayor's not here, so he doesn't get to report. So, motion to adjourn city council.
I'll move.
Second.
Oh.
I have a question first, please.
Yes.
What about the mosquito report? I was outside
Yeah,
the other day and I
mosquito
saw
report.
that.
That's on the next week.
You have to come next time.
That'll be on the next agenda.
Well, I'll be here anyway.
But there's not a whole lot
I'm
of-
gonna give him a hard time.
Talk to me after and I'll tell you anything you wanna know.
Well, get that spray out there because they're pretty thick.
They are definitely ramping up with getting the people out there to start spraying.
Oh, good.
And anytime you really see it bad, feel free to call the mosquito district and just ask them to run a truck through your neighborhood.
And you can also request it online.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you don't have to call if you're.
I don't have to get out of my
If you
house,
don't wanna
out of my
call.
jammy.
No, you just let them know and they'll put you on the drive by.
Do they do any aerial spraying?
Quite a bit. They
It's not over the city, it's out in the west.
Right, we have, with Salt Lake County, we have there's a contractor to do a lot of it. Plus, it's gonna need, Davis County is taking the lead on drone work. And it's really interesting, they go out and do small areas with drones, it just doesn't make sense to fly a plane over, if you can. But it's too thick to get people in on four-wheelers or walking in, especially around Hill Air Force Base, so they started a drone program. They have a drone that's about 4 feet, can hold about 20 pounds of chemical.
That's not over our clock houses.
No, that's gonna be out. They'll rely around your houses on the foggers that in the back of trucks, right after dark.
Yeah.
Does, Katrina come to the community and promise meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is your meeting on Thursday?
Thursday at, 7 o'clock.
Thursday?
Yes.
I think I'll come to work with her on the farmer's market.
Perfect, she'd love that.
I had a motion and a second.
And
Aye.
I said aye.
Aye, there we go, it's unanimous. Okay, now we're into the redevelopment agency meeting. So, I would call for a motion on the minutes. Move we approve the minutes of our previous, meeting.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There you go. So it is now consideration to adopt the FY 2019-2020 redevelopment agency tentative budget. Gary.
Right, let
what we've got in the RDA, you'll notice, we've got the revenue from the three, project areas that we've had for a number of years. The 500 South goes across the joint one, the one on 500, West, the one that we did on 2600 South, which just got triggered this year, so that's new revenue, coming there. And then we've got the Legacy CDA was triggered as well, and the Legacy, CDA West Lewis Crossway Development Project area. So those, bottom three ones are all new this year that were triggered. You'll see also a line item from CDBG. I put $150,000 in that. We did receive, we applied for $150,000, they gave us $75,000, and they had a multi-year project, so they said, come back next year, they'll give us $75,000 as well. So all, prior to the final budget, all we can do is right now.
Is that from the taxes that's negotiating?
No,
This is
federal money.
federal, okay.
It's a program that comes into Davis County each year. It comes from HUD. It's a grant.
Oh, Community Development Block Grant, and its purposes are, it's supposed to be used in low to moderate income areas, and it can be used for infrastructure, housing, social services, different things like that. So, it's a good program. It does have some compliance stuff with it, but, we received some CDBG funding from my work that we used to purchase housing, and as we got into it this year, I talked with him and said, hey, Woods Cross is gonna apply because we've got this, and so I talked with him about our subsidence issues, and so he was aware of it when, but they have a committee that's part of COG that decides how it will be allocated, right? And, anyway, so.
We'll take it.
Absolutely. We'll take what we can
We'll
get.
take whatever,
Yeah, so that's great. So there's the revenues on the, and I'm also budgeting some of the surplus, but I may back that off a little bit because I'm planning on doing 4 homes, but with only the 75, from the CDBG, we'll probably only do 3 homes, there, so.
So you said 75 a year for 2 years, is that what you said?
Right. On the expenditure side, we move down to the next sheet, that's probably easier to see. We got salaries and benefits, down to there. Everything's pretty much the same. I've increased professional services because we're still going through the negotiation with the, taxing entities that you're referring to. We met with Davis County. They wanted Jason to kind of redo some of the things he was working on to present to them. But I'm pretty confident we can get their support, and then hopefully if we get the county, we'll get the school districts. And, those are the 800-pound gorillas. If we get those two on board, then we'll be in good shape. Contribution of the government is the joint area between us and West Bountiful. We get all the money, and then we pay West Bountiful back their portion. So we show that as a contribution to other governments. We're not just being nice with
We don't, the one that was up where the Sizzler is, in that area, where we used to be in the joint one with Bountiful City, that one's completed, right?
Yeah, that was completed. And then we got the debt payment on the 2600 South project, our agreement with Thackeray on his. That's a little higher this year because again, we've now got the property tax, which we've dedicated to them. So that, the big portion of that, property tax coming from the 2600 South will go back to them.
Hey, will you just go back up to the revenue for 1 second?
You bet.
So on that 2600 South one, so through 9 months of the year, of this year, you had budgeted 7,000, and we got 89. On the third one down.
That's incorrect. I'll have to check and see where that number's come from, because those should be zeros. Oh, no, wait a minute, no, you're correct. Yeah, it's 89. So we budgeted 70, it's 89.
So wouldn't we figure that it would come in at least that this next year?
Yeah, so what I'll need to do is I'll adjust that.
And then just remind me on our agreement with Thackeray, all of the property tax, or is it 50%? What was it?
It was 95% that generated in their project. So we'll need to go back and determine of that 89% where it came from, because I think there's some areas outside of their project area that maybe
Okay,
it increased.
because we included some of the stuff up on Highway 89 and.
Right.
Okay, so then with that, it was the 95% or whatever it was, up to a certain dollar amount as a cap.
Yeah, yeah.
Over a period of time,
15
right?
years.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, but that's encouraging if we've got 89 and we were budgeting 70.
Yeah, and that was kind of a shot in the dark.
Right.
We didn't really have anything. So you're correct. What we'll need to do is in this, because I did this number before at the county final settlement. Now that I know what the county final settlement is, I can put a better number in there.
Now, we just need some more things going on down in the legacy CDA.
Yeah, exactly. The last, thing on the expenditures is that I'm showing the housing, 450,000. I was figuring on 4 homes there with a little bit of extra thrown in. So with only going 3 homes, we'll back that out.
And you already have those applications, right?
Yeah, we've identified the 2 homes that we're going to do, kind of like we did the other 4. We've identified the one that will be done with the CDBG funding. Now, we've got the next round of funding that's based on how much people are willing to pay.
Yeah.
That will go out probably next week, that funding round will start. So we may actually do 4 homes, because if we get somebody that applies under there, that is not asking for a whole lot of money, we fund that as well. So we may do that.
Okay.
That'd be great. I think we get 4 homes in, and then next year, hopefully, we'll have these agreements in place with the taxing entity, and we'll have some additional monies from that as well.
So during your vision, how many houses are tier eligible? I mean, if you kind of know any that are on your radar, that might be, they're not that bad yet, they really should be tiered before they get worse.
We had, I think, about 15 applications in round 1. And probably about 10 of them scored up in 10 or higher. So I'd say of those that applied, we've got at least 10 out there that really could use some help. Now, if those that are in bad shape all apply, no, I don't think so. So my guess is we've probably got at least 20 homes out there that probably could use some help.
Well, some people are listing their own, right?
Yes, we've got,
The Lane's thing.
yeah.
And I wondered how many have gotten the.
Well, Lane's, I know, has talked to you recently, they live behind the pine. And they're raising their home, they're paying to have it here.
Right.
So I've heard of a couple others
Yeah.
in that neighborhood as well.
Would they be eligible for the second round?
Yep.
They were willing to pay all of it, so if you did 50%,
Yeah.
they may apply or something like that.
The issue is, though, that if they want to use our money, they have to meet our rules. And that is, they have to clear the whole home, and they have to go down 70 feet. Now, some of these folks that do their own, then some of them clear part of their home, some of them have gone down twice a week. And of course, they can do whatever they want.
Right.
But if they want to use our money, then they need to meet our rules. So, we'll see how that goes.
Right, thank you.
We get any, takers on it. So anyway, that's the tentative budget.
Any other questions for Gary? Okay, then I would entertain a motion.
Move we adopt the, RDA tentative budget for 2020.
I'll second.
All in favor, Matt?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Aye.
Matt,
All
did I
right.
get your name? Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone.
Wow, it's not even is not an easy.
I know, I go through it. Work
We could reopen and have another,
What?
Did well.
Another.
Does that have a setback on
I'm
it?
trying to pick it up. It's
Well,
really cold.
You gotta do a few things to, so when you kick it out.
But I, just look at yeah, just hope it's you, where before, it gets just been like this loud and hard to hear. So I don't know if it's up to.
Thank you for the education.
But that was much.
Now that I'm gonna take notes, I think that would probably be the thermostat controller. Read the room.
Thanks, everyone.
I see you got the map. I got the map. Let's sit down tomorrow night and go through the map. I was kind of glad that it was more concentrated over in the corner. Yeah, they just talked about they're very we talked about, and some of it, we talked about it for our 10-year, our 15, our 20, and some of us decided, before we go do anything else, let's go to Hawaii, or Mexico, or another cruise, or something. So we're on the ice, we just gotta do it.
If Tammy had, or if Tammy not specifically. No, that's right, I do.
My parents.
I'm gonna take these chocolates that Bill gave us.
No,
I need wheat in it.
And my sister and.
yeah, I told her, my brother, we would take a little
Change the impression that within his company and be able to bring it. So, her best friend is,
Just keep ringing along. Yeah. Let's see if we can help them out.
not like I wish.
Not like I wish I could.
I know I've lost a lot of vocabulary, but, it'll come back, I can understand more than I can speak. And we'll see how much comes back. I really would like, my intention has been to brush up on it before I go. That's not been going well.
In all your spare, I was gonna say, in all your spare
In all my
time.
spare time. So, yeah, we leave on Memorial Day morning, so I will not be here for the Memorial celebration.
If you wanna try that.
Yeah.
And we were done for about 12 days. Pretty excited.
So I have this adapter.
Yeah, okay, then, okay, a couple of days in Athens, and then
And then put that in there, and then.
Olympia.
This should go into that.
But it's wonderful. There's all these monasteries built on the top of these spires in this community.
See how it says, like, it recognizes I'm plugged in, but it
The
doesn't.
monks,
Okay, now,
years ago, whatever years ago,
Traffic
actually.
vision.
One guy, I flew over here over to.
Okay.
This spire, and they dropped the road down, and all the good trucks come over by hand. It's built right out of the end of the cliff. Yeah.
Not forever.
And then we go, another day after, we go to Santorini, volcanic island for a couple of nights. So Santorini has like, it's the one you see on all the postcards and the pictures where the boat is volcanic and kind of crescent shaped. So this is where the harbor is, the boat pulling the port, and this is the cliff. They got a big back road cut into it, that the donkeys come on, and you take a walk. And then all along the cliff, the homes and buildings that go right out, and they're all whitewashed, so it's all snow.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, I've been there, I came to pick me up when I got done with the last time. So that's cool. We still keep in contact with the family members. There weren't any, really, for the most part. No, there really weren't many. I did for a little while and they kind of dropped off. Really the one family that I was the closest with, he was from Belgium, she was from Greece. They had a little issue happening with them. And he was probably 65 or 70 at the time, and almost 30 years. So he was
fellow passed away.
So you just want to strong, the church was strong, we have way more foreigners that were refugees from all over Africa, Philippines, Eastern Bloc countries in Europe, Poland, Russia, Albania. Anyway, we're excited, it should be fun. Yeah. We're a little nervous because we're the tour guides.
A lot of responsibility, but home. Good, hope you have a good time.
Yeah, it should be fun.
And I was like, you know, this is great, I gotta run. So I ended up running home and getting my super old iPad that has this
You're welcome.
on it.
Yeah.
And it works fine.
Yeah.
So,
This should be the
the
window.
area, okay.
Oh.
Oh, turn that off.
Oh, you got.
Want to turn that off?
Oh, okay.
I know.
Project your windows on what you saw and use it, project to this. Okay, so that's not it.
Maybe share it?
Yeah. Let's try and see. What's that? Is that
The Microsoft Surface. Sure it is. So I must have to get an adapter that goes into the display. Windows 3. If you want to go beyond the single wire connection, the surface don't allow
surface program. I can use an external keyboard and mouse, such as the ergonomic one I have here. I can also connect a hard drive to any one of the 4 USB 3.0 ports. I've got a gigabit Ethernet port and 2 Ethernet ports. Hey, one exit from the surface team. It's extremely easy to connect to an external display, whether you're at home or at work. The Surface Book has a built-in mini display port, so I can simply connect to my device, it'll auto-detect the screen is there, and away we go. If you want to change the settings, such as duplicate or extend the display, simply click Windows D and select the option you want.
Ah, there it is.
Okay, there you go.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Then you
The
just,
duplicate. That probably turned off.
no, but these are on, so it
Oh,
should.
it should.
I can also connect a hard drive to any one of the 4 USB 3.0 ports. I've got a gigabit Ethernet port and 2 mini display ports. And one single connection that powers all of these multiple monitors.
I wonder if any of this be plugged into the mini display. Because that's what you said when you plug it
Yeah.
into mini display port. And they sell, oh, I might even have an adapter.
Okay. If your TV has an HDMI, you need an HDMI cable and a mini display port to HD, or to mini display. I think, yeah, I think
Okay.
you got to
Okay.
stick in there, and then I think.
And then Windows and P.
Yeah, okay.
My goodness, why can't I just, put it on the F4 like normal people?
They just wanna make life